Hello, Carmen here, you guys. I am a myofunctional therapist. I have met many of you. If you are tuning into me now for the first time, I am a myofunctional therapist. I'm an educator. I have a large global online practice, and I come here to answer common questions or complicated questions. I just got done writing my next blog, which is How Do I Know If I Have a Tongue Tie? And I thought I would talk about that here because I have been doing dozens and dozens of comprehensive exams, and people keep saying, okay, so I was at my doctor and he said I don't have a tongue tie, that I'm fine. And I find myself repeating this over and over. So I want to talk a little bit about this, because what happens when you go to your doctor and you ask about if you have a tongue tie and they say, stick out your tongue. So you stick out your tongue and they say, no, you're fine. No, you're fine. Okay. So if this is you, if this has happened to you, I want you to take into consideration a couple things. And this is what I say to people who reach out and ask the same question to me. When I do a comprehensive exam, it takes us an hour. By that time, I have already spent 30 minutes with somebody prior to that. And then I write my report after the fact. So when I am located in Colorado, so going back to my exam, when I'm trying to determine if somebody has a tongue tie, I have spent, a couple hours with them. And so when you go to your doctor and they say, hey, stick your tongue out, no, you're totally fine, I want you to think about the effort that they just put forth. Because when I do an exam with somebody, not only do I gather a ton of information about them beforehand, which I call the discovery checklist. So like this afternoon, I meet people, they have already filled that out for me. The reason that I have somebody fill out this discovery checklist is so we can talk about you. We can talk about what your concerns are, not just the hundreds of clients, that I've talked to this month. Theoretically, we can say, okay, so you've got these sleep concerns, you've got these digestive problems, you've got this, and this. Here's your goals for therapy, that kind of stuff. So when I go to do an exam, I already have that discovery checklist. Next, I get a dozen to a dozen and a half pictures, videos. I evaluate somebody, they record themselves speaking, chewing, drinking, swallowing, all of these things, in addition to all sorts of pictures in the mouth, posture, full body pictures, that kind of stuff. We're looking at asymmetry. I'm looking at the development of the face, the neck, forward head posture, all of that kind of stuff. Then I have my clients do a functional assessment. So remember, we do not identify tongue ties based on how it looks, okay? So if you're at your doctor's office and they have you stick your tongue out and they tell you that you're fine, they just might have given you misinformation, okay? Because in my world, this is what most people are looking at. This is my biggest concern. Yes, this matters, but the posterior blade of the tongue not working, becomes a bigger issue down the road. That's the obstruction in the throat. That's causing the snoring. That's causing the swallowing impairment. It's causing the choking. That's the biggest thing that I'm seeing with my older clients, is that nothing has changed, but yet they're suddenly choking all of the time. And so, nothing has changed, but actually everything has changed because their body is not compensating anymore. So when I do an exam with somebody and I'm having them do that functional assessment, they're doing 10 or 12 things where they're showing me what the muscles of the tongue can do, okay? So going back to talking to your doctor and asking, so, hey, do I have a tongue tie? And they have you stick your tongue out and they say no. They're missing the opportunity to catch the tongue tie. They're missing the opportunity to educate you. And so I really think that they're doing a disservice because they tell you that you're fine. And so that's one of the biggest reasons that I wrote this new blog. So you'll have to watch for that. But When people are saying, hey, how do I know if I have a tongue tie? Find a professional like me. Okay, that's the biggest thing. There's lots of great myofunctional therapists out there, not just myself, but we are the hub of the wheel. We are the ones who will do your exam, tell you whether we identify a tie, talk about what you should do about it. If you have a tongue tie, you need to get it taken care of, because the long-term consequences of not getting it taken care of, it's just not worth it. And for that reason, that's exactly why I turn away clients who don't want to get a release, because I know that it's not going to be as effective for them. Let me see what else I wanted to touch on here. Exactly, yes. Telling people that they are fine without using any criteria to assess. Yeah, that to me is like saying, hey, I think I'm pregnant. Okay, well, are you vomiting? No. Okay, you're not pregnant. It's terrible. And I'm finding that I'm working with some of the worst tongue ties that these providers have seen around the world. And the fact that nobody ever told them that this was a concern is very disheartening to me, because some of these tongue ties, I'm meeting them, and then, the next week I have to send them for a release because we can't even get started because they're so severely tied. So let me see here. I'm just trying to see what else I put in my blog. So here's the biggest takeaway that I want you to get from this. If you go to your doctor and they say that you're fine and they have you just do stick your tongue out, there's two things. Number one, that doctor is probably very antiquated in their way of thinking, and they have a very closed-minded view of tongue ties, and your doctor is probably wrong. So really, for the couple $100 that it would take for you to have an exam, to have a full assessment, to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's totally worth it. So I hope that is helpful. I will be back next week answering another question. But in the meantime, next week also, there'll be live therapy. I'll be live with Margaret again, where we're doing another session. This session of her therapy will be chewing. So fun times. We're going to chew up our food and show it to each other. So not always the funnest thing to do on an Instagram live, but we're going to be doing that. And then also in July, another of my clients, we're actually going to be doing therapy the day before her release and the day after. So you guys are really going to get up close and personal with what she looked like as far as how she could function, that kind of stuff, before her release and then the day of. So I will be back next week and answer another question. Bye-bye.